Fake news and police copter cover-ups for November 7th. At 2:34 p.m., I heard the police helicopter behind the two-story house across the street, and then I saw him going right to left in the fake copter pocket that never existed, and he was doing a tail wave, and then he did a right turn at 24191 to cover up for the military helicopter, and then he did little left and right curves, and he was going decently slow. And so it was kind of like, doop-de-doo, this is how we do it. And he was going, like, just really slow and, like he was on some kind of, like, cruise and stoked, like it was his first day to fly a helicopter. And then he did descent drops as he was leaving towards Geronimo Montilla, except when he got a little farther out. Before that, it was gradual. And then once he got around Geronimo Montilla intersection, he started doing descent drops. And then he did a slight altitude gain with descent drops while he was doing it, and then he continued out on a bit of a right curve and went far out, and I went down to the end of the street and I saw him way out headed towards the beach and then making a bit of a right. At 4:16 p.m. I heard the copter around 4 to 4:05 p.m. and I couldn't find him, so I was looking down the street and I couldn't find him, and then I looked back over Oliveira to see if he was there. And then at 4:16, I saw him down the street through the gap of Solero de Cero intersection, and he was on Calle Street, and he was doing left circles. So I ran 2/3 of the way down the street, and it was possible that he had the intercom on, but I'm not sure at all. There were a lot of neighbors out making noise, but it just seemed like it sounded like the way it did the time before, except I was closer that time and I was able to confirm it. So I'm not sure about that. And then so he did a couple more circles, and then he moved the circles out and away from me. So he disappeared, and like I said jokingly in my actual video about it, he's like James Crystal's twin. Everyone knows who James Crystal is. He's a CIA level clearance civilian, and he got paid $1.4 million. And so he moved out towards James Crystal's house too. And so I could tell what he was doing. He was trying to lead me out. He was like it's like he kind of thing, the way he moves. It's terrible watching the guy think. And so I knew what he was doing then, so I started booking it back to my house, and there was a Cessna halfway down the street revving like, stay here and record me. And so I just barely made it back to my driveway, and then the police helicopter was mobbing down the helicopter pocket that never existed, right to left. And so he was trying to race me back and catch me out halfway down the street. I just made it back just in time. And that's happened a few times before. I've made it back and he didn't know I was back, and he mobbed across the street a little bit farther down than the October 16th event line, and like he was trying to race me back and find me on the street and be like, spotlight me. And then there were a couple other incidences when he did that. So after I made it back and then he was in the pocket and I saw him and started recording him, he started kind of doing like the doop-de-doo thing, like, yeah, whatever, I was gonna do that. And he's done that same thing a few times. He did that when he first did the tail wave, when he's like, this is the cover-up of all cover-ups. And then he did it the morning after the Saul attack in Las Vegas, when I was talking about how they were trying to kill my brother, which isn't up for debate. It's the same people, the same exact situations, the same, oh, the house was burglarized. Oh, yeah, the same excuses. I'm living this for 2 years and the same damn intellect every single time. It's bullshit. And then, so he did that demeanor, and then he did tail waves, and then he did, so then he continued out, and he did the military copter turn, and he continued out towards Geronimo Montilla. And then there were police Cessna copters all throughout the start of the night, and then at one point, there were 4 or 5 flying in the fake copter pocket across the street that never existed, but they were slightly further out near the October 30th event, and they all had different configurations of lights, different variations of the white orange and different rhythms. And so they all flew, and it was really weird, and I made a video about it. And then shortly after, at 6:06 p.m., the police copter went by, and I'm pretty much certain I couldn't see the body because of how dark it was out, but the size of it and the sound, so the size of it seemed like it was the small police helicopter from last night, Then the sound didn't sound like it was tuned the same as last night, but it also didn't have the presence of total weight like the actual police helicopter. And I'm not sure if that was the distance or if it was the smaller one to normal, but it was very conspicuous. They wanted me to see it, so I think that they flew it by so that I would say, there's the police helicopter, and they're like, haha, it's the small police helicopter, he said. Just like how they paraded the military copter out with wheels, so that I would say it has wheels, and then they would go fabricate the evidence and say, look, this one happened back in January 2013, and there aren't any wheels on this. And so he flew down the fake copter pocket right to left after all those Cessnas shortly after, and he changed his lights. So he had like orange and all the different stuff going, and then he changed it all to white, and then he did a right turn at 24191 and moved out towards Geronimo Montilla intersection. And he did pulses to cover up for the straight line dart that originated at 24092 when I was standing underneath him talking about how he was doing a cover-up for the fake transformer fire, which was a cover-up for the insane threats on my head. And then Cessna copters were flying all around that entire time, the whole night. And then multiple times a Cessna copter would fly across my roof, and each time they flew in the same line, but they had different light configurations, and then they all changed their lights when they were on my roof. They would come in from behind on the June 30th line, and then they would change their lights as they were crossing and then leaving. And then as I was counting their lights and trying to explain what they were doing, they would then change the cadence and the combinations and stuff. So that's fake news and police copter cover-ups for November 7th. Also on the news blotter, there are a lot of events, and I don't have them marked up perfectly, but there are a lot of events where they have combined like return chases, and there's also a few that I didn't mark where it shows down Margeurite Parkway there's like 3 or 4 events in a row, and I think that's so that they can do continuous power circles. So one of the themes, what I was trying to point out, is that there's a theme in today's blogger about continuous power circles and returning to certain areas, and I feel like that's in response to some form of audit about the routine surveillance in my neighborhood recently.